All right, here we are, first sports podcast of the year. Today we're not going to be covering Redwood sports, but we're going to be covering the college football playoff. The whole bracket. We're going to start the first round, the quarterfinals, semifinals, and we'll do some 90 game predictions. My name is Lucas De Lima. I'm the managing editor of the Redwood Gigantea.
My name is Ryan Harris. I'm a sports writer and editor. I'm a senior.
I'm Jake Villarreal. I'm a freshman and first-year sports writer for Gigantea.
I'm Theo Nagano, and I'm a freshman. I'm a sports writer for Gigantea.
And yeah, I'm a senior, by the way, too. Okay, so the first game of the college football playoff, the newly 12-team college football playoff, was number 7 Notre Dame beating number 10 Indiana 27-17. This was Indiana's first CFP appearance and Notre Dame's third, and it was 27-3 until a minute and a half left in the fourth quarter. Player of the game for me was Jeremiah Love, running back for the Irish. He had 108 yards on 8 carries with a 98-yard touchdown. 27-3 until a minute and a half left in the fourth. That says it all. Total domination. Notre Dame at home. Indiana, not saying they're frauds, but they had a good season, good run, but that's it.
Yeah, for me, Indiana has just looked outmatched, man. I know that Notre Dame definitely has some.
Keep going.
And struggles in the later rounds, but they just Notre Dame just outclassed them in every way. You know, the home field advantage, especially with Notre Dame, it's just Notre Dame. They're gonna win, and Indiana just looked unprepared.
I feel like Indiana fans shouldn't be disappointed because Indiana never really has been this far. So this is a really good start for the team, I feel like.
Yeah, and although it was just a beat down for Indiana, they still have come so far as an organization. Last year, no one was expecting to see them go this far. And Notre Dame is a great organization, great team, but I feel like they let games get too close. You've seen it earlier in the season when they lost to NIU. And although they were winning pretty much most of the game, they still let it come down to like a nail biter, so it's still kind of risky.
Yeah, Ryan, I agree, but, it's just that one game,
Yeah.
And also Indiana's a little bit. I do think Indiana was on, fraud watch even before the game, just because the only game that they lost to was Ohio State, and their competition just wasn't really good enough for me to where I thought that Indiana had a really good chance to, win the game and compete against those high-level teams.
And I think it was Indiana's first 10 or 11 win season in program history.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So if you're an Indiana fan, you're the happiest you've ever been, right? Literally, as an Indiana football fan. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, that was the first game of the playoffs. Second game was number 6 Penn State beating number 11 SMU 38-10. Penn State had 2 pick sixes on SMU quarterback Kevin Jennings. Jennings had 3 picks overall. And my player of the game is Katron Allen, running back for Penn State. He had 70 yards and 11 carries with 2 touchdowns. Another just straight-up outclassing. We know Penn State's a bigger program than SMU. SMU also had an impressive season. Kind of fraud watch, kind of very similar to Indiana in a way.
Well,
same situation.
For SMU, they were just out of it. Like, as soon as, I was watching the game on Saturday or Friday? Was it Friday?
Saturday.
Saturday?
It was Saturday.
Saturday, and, I watched the game. I was only gone for 10 minutes, and then I just came back. They were done. It was all the life went out of them as soon as Penn State got by.
Yeah.
It was 27 at one point. So SMU was just. I do think that SMU did deserve that playoff spot over some of the other teams like Alabama and South Carolina, who definitely had a lot of say in why they wanted to play.
I strongly disagree with that. I mean, even though Alabama kind of didn't do too well in their own bowl game against Michigan, which they lost, I still think they would have been a better competition for Penn State. Penn State, Alabama would have been insane. The outcome have been Penn State, Alabama is a crazy matchup.
In the Penn State whiteout,
they would have done it against
SMU. Sure. That just contributed to their beat down on SMU. The SMU couldn't keep up. There was times in the first half I saw their QB, I forget his name, he was covering his ears trying to listen to the play calls. It was just a beat down, and in every way, mentally, physically, it was bad.
And it was a whiteout during the day too, because there was some
I'm surprised they did
controversy. I forgot it was. Later on in the day, it was supposed to be some other thing on Fox or something, so they had to do it during the day. I don't know, but Penn State whiteout's always
I don't think the night slot deserved that game.
I agree.
So they didn't deserve that.
Next game was number 5 Texas beating number 12 Clemson, ACC champion Clemson, 38-24. This is the second back-to-back appearance for Texas. They were in the playoffs last year. We know how that went. And this is the 7th college football playoff appearance for Clemson. Texas scored 21 points in the second quarter. That pretty much was the game right there. And player of the game for me was Jaden Blue, running back for the Longhorns, 146 yards and 14 carries with 2 touchdowns, and he had a 77-yard touchdown. Another blowout win in the first round.
Yeah, I just think that was kind of a forgettable game. I didn't really watch a lot, but for me, there's just no notable playmakers on Clemson on that Clemson team that could have done something to like dome that Texas offense, because Quinn Ewers was still actually playing well at this time, and he was still in form. So I just think that it was just also just outclassed, and also the ACC competition was not what Clemson wanted if they wanted to face some juggernaut like Texas.
Texas has one of the best defenses in the country. They dominated all year, so it makes sense why Clemson struggled so much.
Agreed. Yeah. And Kate Klubnik is not going to overtake that Longhorns defense. I mean,
and Clemson, they were a dominant program a few years ago. Then they went into sort of like almost like a rebuild stage.
Like a down period.
Yeah, like a downgrade, and it's gonna take them another season or two before they get back to their former Deshaun Watson Clemson days, and I believe in their program. It's just gonna take a few years.
Yeah. And the talk is over Dabo Swinney, and he doesn't, he doesn't like transfers. He likes the in-house talent. So we'll see.
Especially with the NIL and transfer portal era that's been taking over college football. Go read Rebel Gigantea. I'm currently writing a piece about NIL and transfer portal and how I think it's honestly ruining the game. So check that out. It should be coming out in a few days. So
nice. Last game of the first round was number 8 Ohio State beating number 9 Tennessee 42-17. Ohio State led 21-0 at the end of the first quarter. Nico Imaleva, that's how you say it, the Tennessee quarterback, he went 14 for 31 for 104 yards, no picks, no tutties. And player of the game, freshman wide receiver Jeremiah Smith, 103 yards, 6 receptions, 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. For me, Jeremiah Smith has been the X factor for Ohio State. He's been unstoppable, man. I just don't really. The only really like defense that I could have seen just even giving him won the fight was Notre Dame. That's when I looked over these teams, I was looking at him, he's like, this kid's the real deal. This kid's actually good. And also, it was also still a pretty forgettable game. Ohio State just ran all over them, and in the shoe, cold, crowd screaming at you. It's just not for me.
When you talk about the shoe, you have to consider that Tennessee pretty much took over their stadium.
Yes, there was a lot of orange. I didn't know
there was a lot of orange on the broadcast. There was a lot of orange in the stands.
Yeah, so I wouldn't say the atmosphere really affected Tennessee at all, because I would say it was close to 50-50 Tennessee, Ohio State, maybe 51-49 Tennessee. Or Tennessee.
Or in Tennessee's favor, you're saying.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the Ohio State was the more dominant football team, and it showed based off the scoreboard alone.
Absolutely.
I felt like Ohio State had a lot to prove since they had an embarrassing loss against Michigan.
100%.
Yeah. Big proof.
Sorry to cut you off, but it really shows you the difference of quality of football and intensity between the number 8 and the number 9 seed. Yeah. It really shows you where you need to really like.
I remember that was supposed to be like the closest game in the first round. Like, oh, it's gonna be Tennessee Ohio State. That's gonna be the best game. That's gonna be the game to watch, right? SMU, Penn State, Indiana, Notre Dame. We kind of could have seen a blowout coming, but like Tennessee Ohio State should have been closer.
It should have been.
Quarterfinal games. The first one was number 6 Penn State beating number 3 Boise State. 31-14 in the Fiesta Bowl. We all know Boise State's history with the Fiesta Bowl. And Penn State led 14-0 at the end of the first quarter. McKay Madsen, Boise State quarterback, threw for 3 interceptions. Ashton Jeanty, supposed Heisman winner, maybe?
Yeah, supposed Heisman.
He ran for 104 yards on 30 carries, and this stat is very interesting. He had a 3.5 yards per carry average on the game. His season average was 7.
Yeah, sorry to cut you off there, Fabian, if you wanted to say something, but I don't think with anything that Ashton Jeanty did, I don't think he really did get exposed, because he just still ran as well, even if it was 30 carries, 104 yards, carries, yeah. 30 carries. He's just not. It's like I think he was built for that level of football, and he just chose Boise State to note of loyalty, which I do agree with Ashton Genty with on this one. But Boise State didn't even look outmatched in that game. They definitely had their moments where it looked like they could, and especially with those two Ashton Genty fumbles that, those two fumbles that Ashton Genty had, it definitely was a swinger. When Boise State just kept shooting themselves in the foot. They could have made it close. Yeah. Definitely made it. It was definitely a lot more close than the score made it seem. It was definitely a lot more close than that.
Penn State only got 10 more yards than them in total offense in the whole game. It was like 430 to 420, something like that. So I guess the score is different from the
definitely,
yards.
and it definitely did say that Ashton Genty wasn't all of that, but he still had a good game. He still had a good game, over 100 yards rushing. Definitely had some impact plays that definitely helped Boise State make it look respectable and how they are a good team. They are a really good team, but
I think Penn State prepared well for this, stacking the box, forcing the quarterback to throw, which led to 3 interceptions.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, forcing Madsen to throw. Obviously, we saw what happened, and 30 carries is crazy. That's a lot of carries.
That's a lot of work. That's a lot of work for a running back.
I just know Ashton Genty. He'll be one of the more fun players to watch when he reaches the NFL, wherever he may go. He's always going to be one of those players, I believe, in his career that you have to see in person at least once. He's just explosive. He's fast. He's quick. He's huge. Yeah.
Yeah, he's a beast for sure. Yeah. All right, next quarterfinal game was number 7 Notre Dame upsetting number 2 Georgia, 23-10 in the Sugar Bowl in New Orleans. My only stat here is that Gunnar Stockton threw for 234 yards. He went 20 for 32 and a touchdown. So backup quarterback didn't do too bad for the Bulldogs, but they couldn't get the job done.
I felt like if they would have had Carson Beck, it would have been a closer game since Stetson Bennett. Gunnar Stockton didn't have much experience, because in the championship game against Texas, their defense mainly carried them and gave them a chance in that game.
Yeah, for me, this was also honestly kind of a forgettable game. Even if I didn't even have Notre Dame making it past this game, and they did. So I think just Georgia especially the quarterback play kind of decimated Georgia. I mean, Gunnar Stockton, you said those stats, and I mean, it was also just kind of like just that one X factor that pushed Georgia down and helped Notre Dame, secure the win. Especially what happened in New Orleans over the past few days, leading up to that game.
That game was rescheduled for the day after New Year's.
Yeah.
Next quarterfinal game was number 5 Texas. I guess a small upset, beating number 4 Arizona State, 39-31 in double overtime in the Peach Bowl. This game was crazy. Yeah, I caught the fourth quarter overtime.
Yeah.
What a game.
Yeah, that was an amazing game. That was a great game.
Easily the best game of the playoffs so far.
Yeah.
Yes, 100%.
100%.
Classic. Cam Scatterbo, I was not familiar with your game. You are him. You are him. Cam Scatterbo earned a good draft stock after that.
Threw for a touchdown. I think he caught for a touchdown and ran for like 2 touchdowns.
He ran. I can't remember the stat line, but he had like 230 on the ground, I think. I assume so. And, that was a crucial stop, especially around the end of the game. Arizona State held up by the goal line, which took them into overtime. Definitely was a game Arizona State could have won, but it's Texas. They found a way to win. And,
Arizona State's chance to win was 4th and 13 for Texas. First overtime. If you stop them, you win the game. Quinn Ewers throws that touchdown pass. Great pass, by the way. I forgot the wide receiver.
Yeah.
He catches it wide open. Exactly. It was wide open. Scores a touchdown. I think they make the 2. Mm-hmm. And then they literally first play of the next overtime, 25-yard touchdown. Yeah. Caught Arizona State sleeping, and momentum shifted there.
I believe from what I've watched from the game in the second half, I believe that Arizona State deserved to win more. Texas had so many like mistakes, so many stuff you can't be making as a number 5 seed. And Arizona State, they put up a fight, and they were coming into this as the underdogs. I mean, when you look at college football, you look at Texas as the more dominant team rather than Arizona State. So, on paper, it's an upset. I believe everybody knew that Texas was going to win, but yeah.
It was a lot closer than people thought it would have been.
100%.
Yes.
Yeah.
Next game was number 8 Ohio State beating the undefeated number 1 Oregon Ducks 41-21 in the Rose Bowl here in LA. This was a blowout. This was like
This was
I don't know,
unexpected.
It was like
Very
31-0
unexpected.
at some point. This was unexpected for sure, but Ohio State.
Especially against a team like Oregon, which I had winning it all. So that was.
I had Georgia winning it all.
Not my
as
brightest.
Carson Beck, yeah.
Not my brightest moment.
I had Oregon winning it all. They beat Ohio State, and in the regular season at home, it was a horrible game, 32-31. But I'm talking about the Rose Bowl being a horrible game. But on both sides of the ball, they got dominated. It was embarrassing for Oregon. They need to do some work in the offseason. I'm pretty sure they're getting some 4-star corner in a transfer portal. I need to look that up again. But I believe next season we'll see an upgrade. Maybe in the number 3 or 4 seed, depending on how Ohio State and Notre Dame do. But it's going to be an interesting football season next year, for sure.
That a lot of fire in the village.
Yeah, it's a lot of fire. I think Dylan Gabriel did not look good at all, and definitely sent his draft stock down a lot. So, and Jeremiah Smith absolutely tore up the Oregon defense. He had I think I saw at least 2 touchdowns during that game when I watched, and it was just bad. It was bad.
Ohio State just wanted it more, it seemed like. They lost all their hard work.
They took that loss, what was it, back in October, personally, and they came back with that win in the quarterfinal.
They did.
And they advanced to the semifinal where Ohio State, they beat number 5 Texas 20-14 in the Cotton Bowl. Ohio State had control of this game all the way through. As expected. They move on to the national championship game. Thoughts on that game? Cotton Bowl?
The Cotton Bowl, it was all right. It wasn't like... I mean, I definitely got its exciting moments with that Jack Sawyer hit on Quinn Ewers and took it back all the way for a touchdown. It was like... I just think Quinn Ewers did not look good at all. I think definitely his draft stock took a massive hit. And I think he just declared yesterday. So it was bad, and especially in the other... I think he threw another pick six, or I think he did, or am I just out of my mind? And then only Jeremiah Smith only had one reception for 3 yards this game. So I think that and also show that Ohio State doesn't need certain people to win games. Mm-hmm. They can win with their defense, especially with Jack Sawyer. That's my impact player for Ohio State going forward into the national championship game against Notre Dame, and they just dominated. They showed why they want to be in the national championship.
Mm-hmm. And who's meeting them is Notre Dame, who in the semifinal beat. Notre Dame was number 7 still. They beat number 6 Penn State 27-24 in the Orange Bowl. That game was crazy. Penn State had the chance to go game-winning drive. Drew Aller throws that interception. Yeah. Notre Dame does their thing, kicks game-winning field goal. Yeah. That was a great. That was another great game. That was probably the second best game.
I like Arizona State versus Texas more than this game, but this was a great game. It definitely matched up. Very good teams. Drew Aller, was not good. Drew Aller threw 3 interceptions, especially one where it could have been preventable, and if he had just waited the ball a little longer, and especially with how strong that Penn State defense is, it's just on time. Notre Dame had everything going for them. Jaden Greathouse, 105 yards, a touchdown. I think as my impact player for Notre Dame going into the championship against Ohio State, he can do some things, especially Riley Leonard. He even threw Riley Leonard. He threw 2.
Duke legend.
Yeah, Duke legend. Riley Leonard. He threw 2 interceptions against the Penn State defense, and he only had 90 passing yards, but he matched it up with over at least around the same amount of rushing yards. So he can move the ball with his feet and with his arms, even if they barely won that game. So that's my thing for me. And the Notre Dame defense's strong suit is the passing game. So they definitely held their own, and now they are in the national championship game.
That's a good transition for our national championship game picks. Number 8 Ohio State versus number 7 Notre Dame. Wow, number 8 seed versus number 7 seed. That's crazy.
Yes.
National championship game on Monday. I think it starts 4:30 here in California.
Yes.
And the game is in Atlanta at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Falcons. My prediction, I have Ohio State winning 35-17. I think their offensive weapons are too much for Notre Dame and their man coverage secondary to handle. I think if Jeremiah Smith can only have one reception and they still beat
Texas.
Texas and their defense, that's insane. So they got like 3 wide receivers that are elite wide receivers Ohio State has. Will Howard doesn't have to have a crazy game, just have to throw it up to them. I think Ohio State is going to overpower them with their wide receivers. Ohio State wins.
Yeah. I want Notre Dame to win. But
go Irish. But
Yeah,
I don't want Ohio State.
go Irish.
I think Ohio State's going to win. I don't want Ohio State to win.
Yeah, I don't want Ohio State to win, but I feel like they will come out with the win, 28-17. Will Howard and Ryan Day, they will just dominate the Notre Dame defense. So it will be a boring game because it will be kind of embarrassing for Notre Dame. But go Irish.
After everything went through all these games, and it's gonna be a boring national championship. I honestly don't think that's gonna happen. I think it'll be a decent game, but I do got Ohio State winning this one. I think I'm gonna say 35-24. I think that Ohio State's just too good. You know, Will Howard's been going crazy. Ohio State impact player for me is Jeremiah Smith. Hopefully he can get going and especially the Ohio State defense, a good unit right there. Jack Sawyer. 4.5 sacks over the last over their playoff run, and then it's barbecue chicken, man. Barbecue chicken. It's barbecue chicken.
Barbecue chicken.
If Ohio State doesn't commit any mistakes, they should win 42-14. If they sleep on Notre Dame, they could cost themselves the game. But I'm gonna take. Yeah, I believe they're gonna play their game 42-14. Give me Ohio State.
Yeah, I do agree. I do agree that if they do sleep on Notre Dame, they can lose the game. This is a very 50-50 game for me, honestly.
We've had some boring national championships in the past. Last year, I was going for Huskies, and then the year before, TCU Georgia was horrific. That was over in the first quarter.
That was hard to watch. That was hard.
Hopefully, praying to God, this is a better national championship.
Praying this game is better.
That should wrap it up for our first sports podcast of the year. Thanks again. Go read all our sports stories in the sports section of the Road Gigantea. And thanks for watching.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.